A woman is gunned down in the Central West End, and now we're learning she's a former volleyball player at St. Louis University. That shooting happened around 2:30 this afternoon near the intersection of Maryland and Taylor. News 4's Mike Colombo has been talking with police and learning more about the shooting victim. Mike, when did she go to SLU?
Well, Russell, 23-year-old Megan Boken graduated from SLU in 2011. These latest details we've learned make her death even more tragic. Boken played volleyball at SLU, and according to SLU's website, she was in town for an alumni match, a match that was scheduled to start less than 2 hours after she was killed. Tonight, a neighborhood, school community, and police are searching for answers. Megan Boken came to St. Louis University from the Chicago suburbs, excelling on the volleyball court for the Billikens.
She was just a great young woman. She was a vibrant, great student, and just a great person to be around.
Saturday afternoon, police say Boken was shot in her neck and chest, sitting in the driver's seat of her white Volkswagen outside the apartment complex she once called home.
I heard a bang, and I didn't think much of it. I thought maybe it was a car door, and then the sirens, like almost immediately. So I looked out my second floor window and I saw the poor girl right there, and it's just tragic. It's very, very sad.
A homicide police can't yet explain. Some witnesses tell police the suspect was in Boken's car when he shot her. Other witnesses say he was outside.
Could it be random? Anything is possible at this point.
And police say this type of crime in this part of town is
highly unusual. Highly unusual.
The man police are looking for is a black male in his early 20s. We're told he's between 5'8" and 5'10" with a thin build. He may possibly be wearing a bright-colored shirt. If you have any information, police urge you to call Crime Stoppers or the Homicide Unit. We have those numbers on our website, KMOV.com. Russell, Detective Engelhardt said police don't know if Boken and the suspect knew each other. However, a spokesperson with Mayor Slay's office told News 4 it appeared they did. Boken's teammates learned of her violent death during the alumni game. A celebration scheduled for after the match at Humphreys was canceled.
Murder charges could be imminent in the death of 14-year-old Kelly O'Loughlin. Police have zeroed in on a potential suspect. Good evening, I'm Bob Surratt.
And I'm Robin Robinson. The Lyons Township freshman is going to be buried tomorrow, a week and a day after she was stabbed to death by an intruder in her home in the southwest suburbs. Our Craig Wall is live in Indian Head Park with the latest on the man the police are questioning now in connection with Kelly's death. Craig.
Yeah, Robin, this case continues to develop rapidly and has been over the last 24 hours, starting with the arrest last night, the police lineup this afternoon, and now we are awaiting an update from police on the murder of Kelly O'Loughlin. Disturbing new details are emerging in this. The man in custody, a parolee, I'm told, stole Kelly O'Loughlin's cell phone and sent taunting texts to her mother after the murder. The suspect is still, at this hour, believed to be at another police station. The police department in LaGrange was a hub of activity today with task force investigators coming and going. The suspect was brought here and put in a lineup. A source close to the case said a cab driver identified him as the same man that he gave a ride to the night of Kelly's murder. That cabbie, a source said, picked up the suspect around 8 p.m. last Thursday at a 7-Eleven in Willow Springs, which is about 4 miles from Kelly's home. That's where she had been stabbed to death a few hours earlier when she interrupted a burglary. Police have been to that store and are believed to be reviewing surveillance video. The unsuspecting cabbie drove the suspect to Midway Airport, where the man paid for his fare with coins presumably stolen from the O'Loughlin house, but special gold coins, police said, were taken from the victim's home, were not used to pay for the fare. Police seized the cab and searched it, looking for possible DNA evidence that could tie the passenger to Kelly's murder. Now, the suspect is a parolee. A source says he's on parole for armed robbery. Police in Willowbrook, where the 7-Eleven is, where the cabbie picked him up, they did have some interaction with the suspect the night of Kelly's murder, but had no cause to arrest him. State's Attorney's Office told me just a few minutes ago that they still have not approved charges in this case, but they could come down tonight. Again, we are awaiting an update from police and the task force, but at this point, they are not ready to come out, it appears. We will keep you posted, Robin, and we'll be here to bring it to you live when they do come out. Back to you.
Horrible story, Craig. You said that this suspect is also suspected of having sent taunting messages to Kelly's mother with Kelly's cell phone?
Yeah, it's one of the most disturbing things I've heard so far about this case, aside from the murder itself, that he would be so cruel to take her cell phone and then send whatever was in those messages to her mother. Presumably he just looked up Mom on Kelly's cell phone and sent some text messages to her after the murder. Just very, very disheartening for anybody who knows Kelly, for anybody connected to this crime, even for those of us reporting it.
All right, thank you, Craig Wall. We'll wait for an update perhaps during this newscast.
At 5 o'clock with the latest on the heartbreaking home invasion that killed an East Tulsa man. 5 people are now charged with murder and armed robbery and the death of 66-year-old Bill Zachary.
The grandfather, who had recently moved to Tulsa and was looking forward to his retirement, was killed during a random robbery at his home. His girlfriend says Zachary was kind-hearted, loving, and generous, and his death is so senseless.
You know, you'd like to go to sleep and wake up and it was a dream.
Sandra Lee's nightmare happened Monday evening when several men kicked in the back door while Lee and her boyfriend, Bill Zachary, were in the living room watching TV.
And we heard this huge crash, and I thought some shelf had dropped, dishes or whatever.
Instead, it was a man with a gun and another with a baseball bat in ski masks, demanding money. Even though he complied, Bill Zachary was shot and killed.
He fired the gun again. And then I saw the flash of the gun again, and when I turned around, they went out the door, and when I turned around, I saw Bill on the floor.
Lee says Zachary had just retired last May from his hardware store in Kansas and moved to Tulsa and was looking forward to travel and spending time with his 4 children and 9 grandchildren.
Then it's just cut short, so I feel like he got robbed.
3 suspects were arrested shortly after the crime. Tulsa police later arrested 2 more.
They were going in backyards looking in windows for things that they would want. Something in this house drew their attention.
Homicide detective Dave Walker says that something was a gun safe.
Messed up home invasion, messed up robbery, turned to murder.
Life's not fair, that's for sure.
4 of the 5 suspects are teenagers. 1 is just 16. All are now charged with first-degree murder and armed robbery.
And I would hope that other parents would pay more attention to their children, where they're going and who they're hanging out with, and search them for weapons.
Lee is overwhelmed by the senseless loss, how plans can suddenly change, and how life can be so brutally cut short.
It's not right that good people are taken like that.
Lee says Zachary will be buried in their hometown of Beloit, Kansas. She says we all should treasure those we love and to not put off telling them that because we may not get another chance.
Now to our other top story. The man accused of murdering 36-year-old Star Harris remains behind bars this evening. Ricky Bell was in a Tipton County courtroom this morning to face murder charges. Also tonight, 3 of Bell's family members are also under arrest in connection with this case. Fox 13's Kristen Talent was in Tipton County for the hearing. Kristen?
Yeah, Merle. Ricky Bell is being held without bond tonight after his arraignment on charges of aggravated kidnapping and felony murder.
30-year-old Ricky A. Bell Jr. made his first appearance in court Thursday morning, arraigned on charges of aggravated kidnapping and felony murder.
Because of your past criminal history and because this may very well be a capital case, at this point, the court's going to have you held without bond.
Bell was arrested Tuesday afternoon for the murder of 36-year-old Tipton County mother Star Harris. Harris was found dead last week in a wooded area behind her house in Drummond.
Harris's body had severe trauma about her head and face, as well as bruising on her torso, arms, and legs, which appeared to be consistent with a physical altercation.
According to the affidavit, Star Harris placed a phone call to her husband Thomas last Tuesday while Bell was at the couple's home. Mrs. Harris gave the phone to Bell so he could speak to Thomas. Later that evening, Star Harris' body was discovered in the woods. A novelty pistol cigarette lighter was found in the same area. That lighter thought to be Bell's.
Ricky Bell's brother, Michael Bell, and Kevin Bell were both interviewed on June the 4th and both accurately described the pistol lighter.
Pamela McDaniel, Bell's cousin, says the cigarette lighter is not enough to convince her that Ricky is guilty.
It's not. That's not enough evidence. They can come on with that. That's not enough evidence.
She says authorities can't see past Bell's criminal record, which includes more than 30 criminal charges.
And I don't think they're looking at his background, but he ain't got no murder charge.
Ricky Bell's brothers, Michael and Kevin Bell, were arrested Wednesday evening along with their cousin, Pierre Richardson, and charged with coercion of a witness. They're due in court July 13th. Meanwhile, McDaniel maintains her cousin Ricky is innocent.
And I just feel like he's being framed. Just deep down in my heart, I don't believe he did it. And I'm not saying it just because he's my relative.
Now, Bell has not yet hired an attorney. He's due back in court June 22nd. Live in the studio, Kristen Talent, Fox 13 News.
The final witness of the day is testifying right now in a court hearing concerning the murders of ORU students Carissa Horton and her boyfriend Ethan Nichols.
They were shot to death in Hicks Park in East Tulsa last September while they were taking a walk. They were murdered during a robbery even after turning over their wallet and cell phones. News on 6 crime reporter Lori Fulbright was in the courtroom for today's testimony, and she has the new developments for us here at 6. Lori?
Well, Scott, Ethan's sister, Leanne Clark, was a key witness today. She talked about filing a missing persons report, then finding out her brother was dead, and then receiving text messages from his phone hours afterward. The grief was so evident on her face when she was handed her brother's wallet and his cell phone to identify. Ethan Nichols and Carissa Horton were both from a small town in Iowa. He had moved here with his family last spring. She enrolled at ORU in the fall. Their evening walk through a Tulsa park turned into a senseless and unexplainable tragedy. Ethan's sister, Leanne Clark, testified she saw them Sunday night, September 18th, all dressed up, going out together. She went to Bible study and got home around 10:30 and noticed Ethan still wasn't home. The next morning, when he still wasn't there, she got concerned. And when she learned he didn't show up for work, she filed a missing persons report. She says she was calling and texting her brother's phone, telling him she had called police and wanted to know where he was and what was going on. She testified she received text messages back from his phone saying things like, "I'm fine, call off the police, I don't want to talk right now." She says she texted him back and said she would not call off the police until she knew he was okay and talked to him. She says her father was also receiving text messages from Ethan's phone saying he was fine and taking an out-of-town trip. Police say one of the killers was sending those text messages because Ethan was already dead. Clark testified those messages are still on her phone, as well as on Ethan's phone, which was later recovered by police. Darren Price was arrested the day after the murders, driving Ethan's car. Police say they found a cell phone and a gun in that car. They say Price told them that his partner was Gerard Davis, and they arrested him too. They say he had Ethan's bag in his apartment, a bag Ethan's friend testified they use frequently to carry their discs for Frisbee golf and other games. After the final witness tonight, the judge will then decide if there's enough evidence to order these suspects to stand trial. We'll, of course, update you on the judge's decision tonight at 9 and 10. Lori Fulbright, News on 6.
New at 9, a 13-year-old is back home tonight after two teens poured gasoline on him and lit him on fire. This happened yesterday in the 2200 block of Quincy Avenue, just after school ended at East High. KMBC 9's Rebecca Gannon is live near the scene at the Kansas City East Patrol Station. Rebecca?
Oh, good evening. The boy lives with his family just a few minutes away from here, and I spoke with the boy this afternoon. He is doing well. Now, he and his family know he is quite lucky to be home tonight, let alone be alive, after being set on fire almost 24 hours ago. The family knows this story could have had a much, much different outcome.
My 5-year-old this morning came in and asked me, "Mom, am I going to get set on fire today?" I was in tears.
Melissa Kuhn says what happened on Tuesday afternoon has affected her family forever. 24 hours after it happened, you can still see and smell the gas can, proof of what happened to her 13-year-old son. She says he left East High School Tuesday afternoon, and near the stadium, he noticed two other teens following him up Quincy Avenue. As he got home,
and they rushed him up on the porch as he was trying to get the door open. He poured the gasoline and then flicked the bic and said, "This is what you deserve. You get what you deserve, white boy."
The two suspects ran away, and the 8th grader put the fire out with the shirt off of his back. He spent several hours in the Children's Mercy Burn Unit.
You could smell the burnt skin, you could smell the burnt hair, it just smelled, that's horrible.
Now, Kuhn says that she and her family will move and her son will not return to East High, in part because he believes his attackers are actually students at the same high school he attends. Rebecca Gannon, KMBC 9 News, back to you.